Welcome back, everyone, to our final episode of the MCU Retrospective Review. I'm Robert. That's Aaron. We are Get Your Geek On. And at this point, we've released all 23 movie reviews for the MCU. Thank you for the applause, Frank. I appreciate that.
Appreciate all of that.
And this video is really just kind of a wrap-up video, and we're going to go through and rank all of our videos, all of the movies. And kind of say, you know, what our favorites are and why. Obviously, full thoughts are in each one of those individual movie reviews, so check that out.
And hopefully you did already by now.
Correct. And so these are our own personal rankings, and they're based on maybe our favorites. Criteria could also include quality of the movie. Obviously, our enjoyment, as well as maybe some consideration for how it fits into the overall story arc. I did that if there were movies that were like, you know, neck and neck. I said, okay, this one maybe is a little bit more essential to everything else, so I'm going to rank it a little bit higher.
I just legit was like, I like this movie.
There you go.
Spider-Man's number 1 through 10. So, I mean.
Well, that's not allowed. But we are going from lowest to highest. So we're going to start with our least liked movies. And we're going to group some movies together until we get to our top 10 so we don't take too long because there's a lot of movies to talk about. We're not going to talk about each one of them in depth. But it'll be interesting to see kind of what our differences are. Full disclosure, we actually recorded this earlier and then we lost it. So they won't be quite as surprising this time to each other. And we originally recorded this before the news about Chadwick Boseman. So now we are recording this post the news of his passing. I don't think that's going to change any rankings or anything like that. But just keep that in mind as we talk into it.
It's still the same as it was before in the previous video.
Yep.
We just lost the footage.
Yeah.
So
we lost the footage.
So number 23.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll start. I kind of group mine into tiers outside of the top 10. And so my bottom tier is kind of okay. I mean, we've talked about this on the other shows.
Right.
I don't really have any MCU movies that I don't like. Like, there are some where I go, it's okay. There's scenes of this that I really like and maybe other scenes that I don't. But so my bottom tier is kind of 4 movies that I would say are kind of all just okay.
Okay.
So that's going to be Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and Thor: The Dark World. Those are my bottom 4 movies that I think are just okay.
So mine is Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 3, and Thor. Those are my bottom 4.
Yeah. So the only one we have in common there being in the bottom 4 is Ant-Man and the Wasp. Neither one of us super care for that one.
Not at all.
And I remember, you know, when we went through this the first time, you know, Thor is the big one that to me, that is a much better movie than sitting in there in the bottom. But, you know, I understand. I mean, everybody's a little bit different.
It's the top of the bottom, I'll say that.
You just don't like the way they introduce Hawkeye, which is dumb.
It is.
I agree with you.
But I also don't like the hair, the wig, that blonde wig thing.
You love the bleached eyebrows, though.
No. So
I think there's some really good action in that movie, and that's why. And of course, you get the introduction of Tom Hiddleston, Anthony Hopkins. So I think there's some really good acting going on in that movie as well. I think it's beautifully directed. Asgard looks beautiful. The Rainbow Bridge looks great. So that's why it's a little bit higher for me. But I understand.
Yeah.
So anything on my bottom 4 that stood out to you?
No, not really.
They're all just kind of blah.
They really. I think we'll talk about later. My Captain Marvel being my lowest one. I think it's like what you said before. Where we have to watch it is what puts it back down there for me. I think maybe if we did all this over again and I watched it in the order that we've talked about watching it, where we should put it towards the beginning of watching all of these things. Yeah. Maybe I would like it more, but where it sits at, no.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so my next group of movies is it's a group of 5 movies, so numbers 15 through 19.
Okay.
And this, I titled this my fun but flawed tier because they're fun movies, but they definitely have some flaws, some things that I go, nah, I don't really care for that in particular. So my number 19 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Then I go to Ant-Man. Iron Man 3, so we just talked about that. Captain Marvel, also in your bottom. And then Doctor Strange at 15.
Okay.
15.
That's not too bad.
Go for it. What are your next 5?
So Thor's number 2, Dark World, is 19.
So actually we were only one off because I had that at 20.
Yeah, you had it at 20.
That's pretty close.
Captain America at 18?
Yep,
So
we'll talk about that. I mean, I'm sorry that you're not American, but that's cool. That's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
17 was the Hulk for me.
The Incredible Hulk. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Iron Man 2 falls in at 16, and Age of Ultron falls in at 15.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah. I think
So-
Age of Ultron is just slightly higher on my list. We're about to get to it on my list.
Yeah.
I think it's the worst of the Avengers movies. Although
Agreed.
a friend of mine actually pointed out, and I always, I had to take a moment and agree with him. This is the only movie of the Avengers movies where they're the Avengers the whole time, because they don't become the Avengers until late in the first Avengers movie,
Right.
and then by the time you get to Infinity War and Endgame, the team has split up.
Right.
And then obviously in Endgame, some of them aren't here for a lot of the movie, and so, I think it's cool to see the dynamic of the Avengers. They've obviously been fighting as a team for a while, and so there's a lot of positives in Age of Ultron. But I hear you. It's got there are a lot of movies in the MCU that are better than Age of Ultron.
There really are. I mean, my main problem with it is you have, and Black Panther kind of puts that final nail in the coffin. But Ulysses Claw,
Yeah.
starts off in there. And again, you have Ultron, who is essentially the villain. Everything about him is what we have to worry about.
Week of Ultron.
Yeah, and it's pretty much. And
It's not really an age.
right. And they just wanted to use the comic book name, I guess.
I mean,
but
and
it's a cool name.
It's a cool character design. I think there's a lot of things that just don't get fleshed out enough,
No.
and it's so hard. Like, we're gonna sit here and criticize the MCU and go, how could you make him a one movie villain?
You really can't.
But that's literally what everybody has done forever. Like Thanos being
Yeah.
a multi-movie villain, that does not happen
No, it
in
really
comic
doesn't.
books. So it's like, we're gonna sit here and go, man, I wish they would have given Ultron an entire arc of 3 to 4 movies.
Yeah.
But also, that's never been done.
No.
And so, in that world, like, I understand you got to wrap it up in one kind of movie. I wish and maybe hope maybe there's a way to bring Ultron back later on,
yeah.
where we go, like, part of his consciousness was dormant, hiding in some server that somebody flipped on,
Yeah.
and now all of a sudden Ultron's back. Like,
and that's usually what happens.
I
too.
hope we do something like that. I hope we get Ultron back, because I think he was a very cool villain.
He really was. I mean, and let's face it, one of the main reasons they don't do villains for multiple movies is toys.
Sure.
Because you can't make the same toy 4 times and hope people buy it 4 times.
I mean, at least, but Ultron did have, like, he has multiple versions,
And
that's
how
he's
you can
always
do it.
evolving. That's
Exactly.
Ultron. I mean, that's his character. Is He's
Yes.
always looking to evolve. So,
and that's the one way to bring him back.
yeah.
So,
All
it'll be
right.
interesting.
So let's move on to our next tier. So you hurt me with Captain America. This tier is gonna hurt you. We're here. This is my pretty dang good tier. So this takes us from 14 up to 11. This is just outside of my top 10. And I've got Thor here at 14.
Okay. That's a good one,
I really, we talked about it.
Yeah.
We're different on that, but I like that movie a lot.
Yeah.
Next is Spider-Man Homecoming, followed by Avengers Age of Ultron. And my number 11, just outside the top 10,
What?
Spider-Man Far From Home. So
Some of us are right, I
both of
guess.
those Spider-Man movies are in this little grouping here. And, we've talked about it before.
Yeah.
I think these movies are really, really good. Like, nothing...
Right.
Once we get to this section, I love
tough.
all of these movies.
Yeah.
And the Spider-Man movies, actually, until we went through and rewatched all of them, Spider-Man Far From Home was higher. I used to have that at my number 7. It got bumped down a few spots on our latest
Never
rewatch.
get bumped down. Never.
Yeah, there's a
Never
few
gonna
plot holes
give
that,
you up.
but I will push you down. All right,
throw my Rickroll in there.
So yeah, I you hurt me with Captain.
Yeah.
I hurt you with Spidey. What are your next 4?
So, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is number 14.
Okay.
13 is Ant-Man.
Yep.
12 is Doctor Strange.
Okay.
And just outside of my top 10, which I know is one of your favorites, Black Panther.
Yes.
Just right outside it.
I love Black Panther. That is much higher on my list.
Yes.
And we will get to it. But
And, like-
I think this is a good place to stop and talk about it, because you had Doctor Strange where? At 12?
12, yeah.
And I had it at 15.
Not too far off.
And it used to be in my bottom tier.
Really?
The rewatch of this, actually, I think Doctor Strange, the first time I watched it, like, I thought it was, like, inventive and had a lot of
Right.
cool visuals and stuff, but I didn't connect to that character at all. Like, he was like Tony Stark, but with less charisma. and just kind of like, man, he's a jerk. Like, I don't like him. And so it was hard for me to connect to that movie. And then returning to it after watching Infinity War, I think really gave me a much deeper appreciation for that character.
Okay.
Because I think in Infinity War, I think Doctor Strange is great. And I really liked it a lot more on that watch. So even though it's at 15 for me, it definitely elevated it. It used to be around like 20 or so. And I know that was, a movie that really moved up the ranks, having, done this rewatch. What about for you? What was one that moved up?
Mine was actually Black Panther. I think off camera we discussed it a lot, how much I didn't really care for it. And I'm not saying that again because now with Chadwick Boseman's not here. I'm not saying it because of that.
He said this on our last lost footage.
Yeah,
he did say that.
Footage.
So when I asked him that question, I already knew the answer.
Yeah, so it's true because I already remembered your Doctor Strange one.
Yeah.
So it's like, again, it's a good movie. I think the rewatch gave me that ability to have that hindsight 2020, I guess is the best way to say it.
Don't talk about 2020. I'm getting PTSD.
21. I've got better vision.
Yeah.
So I really did enjoy it though. I think that the characters were fleshed out properly. I think that it got more than it needed in the end. Again, there's the reason it stayed out in my top 10 was the claw thing. They finished off Ulysses' claw. I didn't like that. And I still have my little quirks with Killmonger. But again, overall, Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman being on the big screen together. I mean, those scenes, it was two icons. Like, whenever you see an actor on a shot, there's always one actor that outshines another one. But man, those two guys just lit that screen up when they were together.
Well, and I mean, we might as well just talk about it now. It's higher on my list, but I think the reason it's so high for me, and we've talked about this before, is because it's just so very rare for not only for a hero to have as significant an arc as Black Panther does in that movie, but also the villain forces him to take that journey.
Right.
There are other people that are influencing his perspective change as well. But, Killmonger's trauma that he lived through is forcing Black Panther to reevaluate his perspective on the world, reevaluate his perspective on isolationism and those types of things. And so I just, it's so rare for a villain to actually impact a hero in terms of changing their perspective rather than just what do they have to do to defeat me? Maybe they have to evolve or change or those types of things. That's kind of the common trope. But this is very uncommon in that, Killmonger, maybe some of his methods and maybe, he certainly had an element of revenge and vengeance that went along with it. But at the end of the day, he was saying, the people that have been oppressed need the tools to rise up against that oppression. And I don't disagree with that. I think that there shouldn't be people being oppressed.
And I look at them, Killmonger and Black Panther in that movie. Yeah. I almost look at it, and I know it's, someone may argue with me, but I'm going to say it. I almost look at it as Batman and Joker in the sense of they are the opposite sides of the same coin. Joker and Batman are a little more extreme. Don't get me wrong. They are way more extreme on that. But they both have the same views of how can we help our people. One just has more of an extreme view. And the other one, like you said, he actually makes him think about what he's really doing more and more. Right.
I think the more apt comparison than Batman and Joker, I think to me is Professor X and Magneto.
You know what? That's a better one. Yeah, I like that one.
I think that you've got I want to pursue peaceful coexistence.
Right.
In Professor X, and then you've got Magneto saying, "I've lived through the Holocaust. There is no peaceful coexistence."
Exactly.
And if only one of us can survive, I'm going to make sure it's the mutants.
Exactly. That's a good point. I forget about them sometimes.
So it's kind of, I see that being, of course it's the same type of, trauma that, Killmonger was visited on Killmonger, of that being, having his father killed, growing up in an area where, as he says, everyone dies, and then, just growing up around violence. And then you've got, Magneto coming through the Holocaust, obviously. So
that's true.
That it shapes you.
It does.
It shapes your perspective.
What happens around you does shape you. And I really want to say right here, and I'm not trying to plug it in, but I'm going to plug it in. Go watch our last week's Talking Geek, episode 13, I believe it was. And I think you said some stuff on there about Chadwick Boseman, that kind of helped resonate for this, what's going on right here, what we're talking about. So, about like him playing the part of Black Panther. So I recommend go watch that so we can get a full, good detail of what Robert's talking about. I really liked what he said in that.
Oh, thanks.
I did. I really did.
All right, let's get into our top 10s.
All right.
So my number 10, you hurt me bad, Captain America, the First Avenger. We've talked about it before. Go check out our review. But
go check it out.
I love this movie. I love that character. I love the introduction. I love everything about this. And I think that, it's not a perfect movie.
No.
And the reason it elevates to number 10, there might even be some movies that I would say are better in quality than this movie. Yeah. But when it comes down to it, I've watched this movie probably more than any other MCU movie. I love watching it. I love that character. I love, punching Nazis in the face.
Always punch a Nazi in the face, first of all.
I mean, it's just Captain America, and he's awesome, and I love it. And the everything that his journey of with Dr. Abraham Erskine, kind of like be a good man, like it just all resonates so deeply with me. And so even though I think there are other movies that maybe I ranked lower that are actually a better quality of film,
right?
This is in my top 10. It has to be.
And again, we both have our own favorite characters. I know you're more Captain America and Batman. I'm always more Spider-Man. Kind of almost now over the last maybe 10 years, 15 years of my life, more Iron Man too.
Sure.
So, I mean, you're going to have that hero that resonates for you, and that is your Captain America.
Yeah. Well, I'm just, more pure of heart than you. What can I
mean, Spider-Man is very pure of heart. I would like to point this out.
Yeah, but, you're going down that Iron Man route.
Well, I mean, because... Okay, I'm going to say this, because Spider-Man does take the Venom suit.
Yeah.
And he does eventually get rid of the Venom suit, but still wears a black suit.
Yeah.
Because he's kind of gone that little edgy.
Yes, it's a little bit.
That's just that little bit. But again,
I mean, Batman's a psychopath, and he's my favorite, so.
I don't care.
All right, what's your 10?
He's just asleep.
Yeah.
10 is the Avengers.
Ooh.
So I put that as my number 10.
Yeah, which you're wrong. That's my number 1. It is my favorite MCU movie.
It is a great movie. Shawarma. I love that one little line throwaway.
And then shawarma after.
And then shawarma after, puny God when he smashes him. It's a great
with Hulk
movie. Don't get me wrong. This man's playing Galaga. And to me, this is where Iron Man kind of shines a little bit. And Cap himself.
Absolutely. I think every member of the team.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly with the exception of Hawkeye.
Unfortunately, yeah. He shines in the second one, though.
Really gets some great moments in this. I mean, the Black Widow, Loki kind of interrogation scene is a great scene for her. I think there's so much good humor in this movie.
Really
I mean, I think...
But I love Joss Whedon doing movies.
I mean, I'm just going to... I don't know if we highlighted this joke the first time that we talked about it. It's like one of my favorite jokes in the MCU, which is, when their Thor first shows up and they've captured Loki and they're, having that conversation about, and he's like, have care how you speak of him. Loki is of Asgard and he's my brother. And, he killed 40 people in 2 days. He's adopted.
I love that joke. He's adopted.
It's just a kind of a great, I
think my favorite thing that came from that movie, and it's not even from the movie.
Okay.
I think it's a meme and it's Captain America and it says, personally knows 2 gods. Still, or personally has met 2 gods, still only believes in one.
Yep.
And it's like, that's true. Okay.
He's Cap.
Yeah, he doesn't change. Like you said, he doesn't change his viewpoint. He's a Christian or whatever he is, believes in God, but he literally meets 2 gods. And he's like, there's only one. You guys aren't gods.
You guys aren't gods. They're extra, they're space beings. Like,
exactly.
why would he call them a god? They're not
I don't
gods.
think he's ever said them as gods, has he? I don't think he ever did.
No.
That's funny.
No, I mean, because that's like... I think the line that Black Widow says is, these guys are basically gods. Sit this one out. And he's like, there's only one God, ma'am. Yeah, and he doesn't dress like that.
And I'm out. I'm going to go beat him up.
Right. And he just jumps out of a plane. Which,
for the
it's
millionth time.
Kind of his thing.
What's his name from... what's that guy's name? His name.
Yeah, I don't know. The old man.
Yeah.
When Hulk falls out of the sky. All right. We're taking too long. We got to get to it. My number 9, also somewhere in your top 10.
Yes.
Because we haven't talked about it on your list yet.
Okay.
Dun, 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 dun. I am Iron Man. I love this movie. It started it all.
So it did.
Where's it at?
Number 5.
All right.
I love this movie.
Great movie.
Love Jon Favreau. I love at the end of it where you see Nick Fury.
Yeah.
I am Iron Man.
Yeah. Well,
I love
and
it.
the press conference where he says, "I am Iron Man." Like,
Yes.
that was just, we're putting our stamp on this. We're saying, we're not going to do the secret identity thing. We're just going to, and I mean,
It worked.
it absolutely worked.
And I really, and I know why they couldn't do it. And I hope they re-release the first Iron Man on DVD and they keep the first take that they did with Nick Fury. I don't know if you've seen that one where he says, we have mutants.
Yeah.
We have people bitten by spiders. He says everything in
Yeah.
there. You think you're the only one?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, when I saw that, I was like, I want that back in the movie now.
Yeah. No, we can't have that.
We can now, though. We can now. If they re-release it.
They're not going to. But they did release, that was on the Infinity Saga box release, that they had some of those never before seen deleted.
I loved it.
Deleted scenes that was on there. So all right, what's number 9 for you? Since
Number
Iron Man was my 9.
Winter Soldier.
Ooh,
It's a good movie. Don't get me wrong.
It is a great movie.
Where is
That
it at for you?
Number 3.
I can see why you place it so high. It is a very good movie, and I really do enjoy it. And it's again, these are just they're hard for me to pick.
You
I will
just
just
don't
admit
like
that.
Captain America. It's okay.
Okay, you know what? Captain made Winter Soldier. How about that? Captain America made Winter Soldier.
How did he do that?
First of all, he dragged his friend out of whatever it was, whatever.
Yeah,
they
he
were doing
saved him from
So he saved
an
him from that.
experimental facility
to take him back into behind enemy lines.
Okay, well,
all the time,
that he volunteered for.
and then he doesn't go look for his body after he falls off the train.
He was busy defeating Red Skull.
No, he was crying. Remember, because he was drinking and he can't get drunk.
Why would he have thought that he would survive a fall from the train?
Wouldn't you want to get your friend's body to go bury? No. You wouldn't
No.
want to get your friend's body to bury?
Not-
Wait a minute, hang on.
At-
Thanks, Frank.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, I think that would be a pretty traumatic experience because he's going to expect to find multiple pieces of body. He's not just going to be one
He would be in one.
intact
Why would he
body.
be in multiple pieces?
Because he fell off a train in a freaking
he would
mountain
probably
range.
hit a tree and then just go straight down.
That's not how hitting a tree from that height works.
I don't know how it works. Look, we're gonna go do physics one day, and we're gonna see how this
Clearly,
works.
his arm fell off. At least
they
that much
chopped it
happened.
off?
No, it literally.
Do they say how
he
loses
lost.
it?
He lost it in the fall. Don't
Okay.
give me this crap.
Okay. Anyway,
Winter Soldier is a great movie. It's number 3. You're wrong. My number 8. We're gonna stick with Captain America because
All
it's
right.
Captain America: Civil War.
ooh, really? Wait a minute. That's your number 8?
That's my number 8.
I forgot that was lower than mine.
Yeah,
Mine's number 4 for Civil War.
it's a great movie. I mean, the airport scene, all those things.
Yes.
Captain America being right while Iron Man is wrong. All those
Iron Man
things.
is always right.
That is 100% wrong. If they were called the Tony Accords, I would sign on those right now. Tony is the one that has
I think we
caused
talked
all
about
this
that too.
destruction. Why do all the
Look.
other Avengers have to pay for Tony's mistakes?
First of all,
Yep, go for it.
we wanted to make an armor around the world, and what happened? Tony's like, or Captain America's like, no. If we would have had that armor around the world, Thanos would have gotten in.
Tony tried to create armor around the world, and he created Ultron instead.
You know what? Sometimes you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. All right.
Yeah, but Tony is very bad at making omelets.
I mean, he's rich. He doesn't obviously think he makes an omelet. I don't know if he does. He thought his social security number was 2 or something, whatever it was. So he better not be making the omelet.
Well,
that's why
then-
he had Bruce do it the second time because he learned from his mistake.
Yeah, okay.
So you know, when
Yeah.
it fails again.
Tony, you lost another Superbot.
Nah, we got more.
So yeah, I mean it's a great movie. Our full thoughts are in that video. So what's your 8?
Thor Ragnarok.
Ooh, that's my number 7.
Not too far off then for those two.
We're here. We're here.
I mean, I liked it. It's
So
a good
funny.
movie.
It's
it
hilarious.
Really, really is. And I'm so glad they're bringing everybody back for the next one.
I mean, great action, great humor, great new characters that we get,
Yes.
and like
Valkyrie,
Valkyrie and
oh.
Korg, and
Valkyrie.
the Grandmaster. I mean, Jeff Goldblum
gosh,
is great,
Jeff Goldblum.
and some of that stuff is
Great
just
war,
like
guys, great war.
you're either in or you're out with Grandmaster's character, because like that joke where he talks about like time works differently here, and on another world that'd be hundreds of years old, but here. And he just like
He just
stops
stops.
talking. Like that's the end of
done.
it. And it's just, and it's like you either love that humor or you don't. I love it.
I
Kate
loved it.
Blanchett is a great villain.
Yeah.
I mean Carl Urban, unrecognizable.
Oh my gosh,
as
yes.
Scourge.
I didn't recognize him. Like this
Yeah.
doesn't. Okay.
He's in everything.
I
and
think
you can
it
never
was-
figure it out.
On the second rewatch when you told me that, I was like, wait, what?
Wait,
And I was like,
what?
that's Carl Urban?
Yeah. So
that's a
great
good
movie.
one.
All right, you're 7.
Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Great movie.
I love it.
Love it.
I think, and again,
One of the best villains. Vulture is fantastic.
He is. I got to give him the dad talk. I love that.
That
line.
whole scene is great.
I love it. And we get Vulture, we get Shocker, we technically get Prowler, we get Scorpion. So we get technically 4 Spider-Man villains in one movie.
Yep.
And they're not even really pushed hard, but it sets up that universe already. So I love that part. And again, I'm a Spider-Man fan, so it's gonna push up just because he's Spider-Man.
Yeah. It's outside your top 5. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it is. it really is. It was a tough one.
All right, so my number 6, I think, is going to be a little higher on your list if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Avengers Infinity War.
Yes, it is number 2 on mine.
Yeah. And it's a great movie. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think once I get to this point, once I get to number 6 on my list, all 6 of these movies are kind of like just you throw a dart, and maybe on a different day, this one will be a little bit higher. I love Infinity War. I think it's fantastic. I think, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, the Guardians, like there's so many great storylines. I think what brings it down, what ends up bringing it down, and we talked about this, I think, in our original video,
right,
is the Thor and Rocket storyline and Groot storyline where he's going to get his weapon. It just takes a little bit too long for me. Like I don't need all that. I don't really care for Peter Dinklage as Eitri, and so it's just kind of like I understand why it's in there. I think the first time you watch the movie you need it, but then after that I feel like I might just skip that scene.
Makes sense. I can see that. I mean, it's a good movie though. I enjoy it.
What's your
6 is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Ooh, that is my number 4.
Not too far off.
I love that movie.
I do too. I think it's a good movie.
Another one with great humor but great heart too.
It is. It really is. I think this was a good way to set up. I mean, essentially bringing a whole team together in one movie.
Yeah.
We had Avengers, but they all had their own little movies, and then they kind of all came together. Except we can argue Hawkeye, Black Widow, whatever. But here everyone has to come out in the first 30, 40 minutes of the film.
Yeah.
And then we got to get them all to working together, and they have to trust each other within 2-hour long movie roughly, or however long it is. I love it. I love Drax's character never really changes from that point forward. I mean, a little bit later on, but in that movie he doesn't.
I will disagree with you. I think in that movie, I think he's very consistent. But I think by the time you get to the next movie, he's very jokey.
That's true. In the next ones,
it's like I didn't really. I love Drax in this movie.
He's my favorite.
I think he's fantastic, and I think that him playing the straight man works really well. Like he's the guy that doesn't get the jokes.
Gets over my head.
But then by the time you get to number 2, he's like making jokes and he's laughing at people and like even though it's a funny moment where like in Guardians 2 where Mantis says, can I pet your dog or whatever, and he's like, oh yes, and like that doesn't fit the Drax of the first movie.
Yeah.
And so it's weird.
Yeah. I mean, but like I think we talk about in that one, I guess Peter and everybody else kind of grows on him a little bit.
Yes, I don't know.
So
I don't know. The first movie is fantastic.
It is.
So that was your 6. So my number 5 is Black Panther, which we already talked about.
Yep.
What's your 5?
Iron Man.
Dun, 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 dun.
Iron Man.
We talked about that one too. Great, started it all. My 4 was Guardians. So what's your 4?
Civil War.
Oh yeah, we talked about that all right a little bit.
We did.
My 3 was The Winter Soldier, Robert Redford. Great villain. Don't get out of here with that. You love that movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
All right.
Bucky sucks.
What's your 3?
Far From Home. Spider-Man Far From Home.
Mysterio.
I love it. I love that film. All around, just the effects, the storyline, putting Peter through what he went through.
Yeah.
And then, of course, at the end of all of this, the closing of Phase 4 and seeing what the last, I guess, essential hero is going through with all of this. So I enjoyed it.
Mysterio.
Mysterio was amazing. I loved. Can't even think of his name now. It's Mysterio.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal. There you go. I love him.
Terrible.
I'm terrible with names.
Terrible. All right, so I'm pretty sure this is your number 1. My number 2, Avengers Endgame.
It is my number 1. Infinity War and Endgame.
I mean, and Endgame is phenomenal. It's amazing. Is everything that we could have ever hoped for. And the only reason my number 1 is Avengers, which we already talked about.
Yeah.
I just think nothing will ever match that experience in theater. Going to see that movie, it changed my life. because literally, I mean, I was, growing up, I was always kind of geeky and nerdy, and I love superhero stuff and everything like that. But then, it's just like as you get older, you're kind of like pushed away from those things. Like people tell you not to be, and I think the Avengers coming out, like it like made me understand and believe again that you can still be a geek. You can still love all this stuff. I wouldn't be sitting here on this show talking to you if the Avengers hadn't come out.
Same.
Because this movie, it changed our culture. I mean, it was at the time, it was the biggest box office opening weekend of all time, and it's since only been beaten by other Avengers movies or Star Wars movies.
It's been beaten by itself.
Right. And it's it's an incredible movie. And so even though like Endgame, you could say is probably a little bit tighter, is a little bit more, it's more epic in scale. Maybe it's a better, made movie.
Yeah.
For me, the Avengers is it's still that pinnacle because of like going to see it. It was like, I can't believe that this is the movie we're getting. And it's not a joke. It's not, they're not making fun of it. No. They're not, like they're embracing these characters, and there's still humor in it, obviously, but they're embracing the characters. There's all the heart that you would expect. Mm-hmm. There's, the real conflict that you're getting, setting things up between Iron Man and Captain America, setting up that they have kind of different ideologies, and, that Captain America is, ultimately, self-sacrifice. Like he'll do whatever it takes, at his own expense, to win. Whereas Tony will also do whatever it takes, but he'll, his whatever it takes looks a little bit different than Cap's because it's not about that sacrifice.
Exactly.
But even in that movie, they're kind of seeding, that Iron Man will make the sacrifice if he's given the proper motivation. He doesn't know that he's going to survive when he takes the bomb through the wormhole. Yep. He does end up surviving, but of course then, his ultimate arc ends in Endgame with him having to be the one that makes the ultimate sacrifice.
Exactly. And the best way to look at it, Captain America in D&D terms is lawful good. He will follow the law. He'll follow it to the end as long as it's, at this point right now too. I mean, later on it kind of changes a little bit, but to me, Iron Man is always that chaotic good. Like, I'm good, but I'm gonna steal this to make sure that I can save the world with it. Sure. So I'm just gonna take this.
Yeah.
Where Captain America would probably be like, no, I'll find a different way to do it at that point.
Yeah.
So.
And Cap is you even get a little bit of difference in their methods, right? Because you get Tony planting a bug in the Avengers ship to figure out what's going on. There's some sort of secret we need to figure it out. Captain America just goes, breaks into a portion of the ship, finds a Hydra weapon, and then is like, "What's up with this Hydra weapon?
Exactly.
Like, why is this here?" Like,
I love his line is like, "Your technology was going too slow for me," or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just found out too, though, so about the same time. But it was fun, guys.
Yeah.
This was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it.
It was a ton to go back and watch all these movies. A ton of fun. We hope that you have enjoyed coming on this journey with us. Definitely leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Let us know what movies we should review next. We've been talking about other retrospective reviews. We talked about possibly James Bond. We talked about Pixar. You talked about Starship Troopers. I said no.
It's only like 5 movies.
Yep. 5. Which is 5 more movies than I want to watch in that franchise. I've seen the first one. I don't need to see any more. And I don't need to rewatch the first one. Yeah. Maybe I still say we got to do the X-Men one. That way I can finally get you to watch X-Men Apocalypse.
I guess.
But that means I have to watch it.
Yeah, you do. So you come down with
me. So anyways, let us know what you think we should do next. And I'm Robert. That's Aaron. We're Get Your Geek On. This has been a ton of fun. We hope you've had fun with us. And tune in next time. And always tune in to Talking Geek on Tuesday nights, as Aaron mentioned. We always like to give you kind of everything that's going on in the world, and we have some fun.
We do.
Too. So tune in.
Check those out Tuesdays, 7 p.m. Central Time, guys. And y'all have a great one, and get your geek on.
Stay geeky.